Ladies and gentlemen, observe. Look at Penny Wong's shocked face. This is Australian Foreign Minister. I'd reckon when she'd learned she'd been sending millions of dollars of Australian taxpayer money to an outfit stuffed with Islamist terrorists and their supporters. Now, she had no idea. Honest, that's why she's looking so shocked. No idea this was happening, despite years of warnings. But now, too late, the Foreign Minister tweets that she's deeply concerned, oh so deeply concerned, by allegations that staff of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, or UNWRA, that we give aid to, were actually slaughtering Jews in the Hamas attack on October 7 that started this war with Israel. Slaughtering them, or maybe they're raping them or kidnapping them, it's a little unclear. In fact, Wong is so very concerned to hear all this that she's probably, given our money to Jew-hating murderers and rapists and kidnappers, that she's temporarily paused handing out the $6 million she promised just on January 16 to this UNWRA, which helps so-called Palestinian refugees. Now, she's not concerned enough to actually scrap that $6 million, just going to pause it temporarily. But alas, she cannot do anything about the $20 million she gave this same United Nations group, UNWRA, in 2022, when she actually doubled its grant. She thought it was doing such a fabulous job. No, I'm afraid that $20 million was already all gone, spent on UNWRA employees like teachers. They employ a lot of teachers, including, and it turns out, extremists who we know coach Palestinian children to hate and to fight Jews. And we now know some might have even helped to kill them. Now, this is just the latest scandalous evidence of Labor's lethal pandering to Muslim voters. Look how nice it's been to Palestinians, please. Much nicer than to Israelis. Vote Labor. Now, be clear here. Wong deserves no credit for now ending, or should I say, temporarily pausing, the UNWRA funding. After all, this UN organisation itself last week admitted it had to sack 9 of its staffers or contractors, investigate another 2. 1 was dead, so, alas, couldn't do anything about that one. After evidence from Israel that these people who are paid by Western aid money had actually participated in the slaughter of Jews on October 7 and even driven UNWRA vehicles into Israel for the killings. And of course, the UN had its shocked face on as well.
The Secretary General has been briefed by the Commissioner General of UNWRA, Philippe Lazzarini, regarding extremely serious allegations which implicate several UNWRA staff members in the terror attacks of October 7th in Israel. The Secretary General is horrified by this news.
Oh, so many shocked faces like, who could have possibly guessed all this? Other shocked countries immediately ended or suspended their own UNWRA funding, including the US, Britain, Italy, Canada, the Netherlands and others, which is probably why Wong felt she had to fall into as well. I mean, temporarily. But Wong and the rest of them, the UN Secretary General included, have known for years of allegations that our money to UNWRA has been hijacked by supporters of Hamas, by supporters of this terrorist group that runs Gaza and started this war. And if Wong didn't know, as she was handing UNWRA our money, she's frighteningly incompetent. The Secretary General as well. Now, let's be clear that the UNWRA, that's already the very existence of it, is an attack on Israel. I mean, this was set up, this body, to help the 700,000 Palestinians who left Israel ahead of or during the 1948 war, launched by Arab armies from every direction to destroy the new Jewish state. Bad luck for them, the Arabs lost. Now, since then, thanks largely to high birth rates, there are now not 700,000 Palestinian refugees, but nearly 6 million, all registered with UNWRA as refugees under its ludicrously broad definition, even though the vast majority weren't even born in 1948, haven't even set foot in Israel. Now, no other refugees in the world get a UN organisation just for themselves 78 years later. an organisation which nurses in them the fantasy of a right of return, instead of encouraging them to get on with their lives, just like millions of Jews evicted from Muslim lands all over the Middle East have had to do over these same decades. No UN agency for them. Now, the result, inevitably, is that UNWRA is now a grievance industry, a Palestinian grievance industry that generates $1 billion a year in donations, mainly from the West. It's also a massive bureaucracy, largely captured, it seems, by its Palestinian staff, 30,000 of them, including 13,000 just in terrorist-controlled Gaza. And not surprisingly, given all that, Palestinian teachers employed by UNWRA have repeatedly been caught preaching Jew hatred and using atlases, for instance, showing Israel literally wiped off the map, not named. No, it's as if it didn't exist or shouldn't. And you wonder how Penny Wong could have overlooked all this as she handed over yet more millions to UNWRA. How could she have ignored, for instance, in 2016, a documentary called UNWRA Road to Terror, which even showed Palestinian children explaining what they were being taught in the UNWRA schools that we were helping to fund.
الصهيونية هم أعدائنا وهم أهم شيء لازم يسوي فيهم عملية.
يعني إنهم بيعلمونا بالمدرسة إنهم إرهابيين
بيحكوا لنا عن اليهود إنهم هذول مش منيح وهذول بقتلوا قاعدين بشبابنا. بيحكوا لنا هذول غدارين وبيحكوا لنا إنه هذول بغدرونا هذول مش منيح. إذا بطعن عمليات الدعس عمليات الطعن.
إيش أكيد هدول العمليات ترفع الراس ولفلسطين.
إذا بدك بطلع بستشهد عادي.
You wonder, don't you, whether any of those children 7 years later were taking part too in the slaughter of Jews on October 7? I mean, they've been coached well enough, haven't they? Yet even then, after all this evidence, after films like that, so many allegations, Foreign Minister Penny Wong still gave UNWRA another $20 million in 2022. Another $20 million, double the aid. Now, one thing to be said about this aid, some of it may well do good, but the aid that we give through UNWRA does free Hamas to use its own cash on weapons, not welfare, for the Palestinians it claims to lead. One Hamas official said the other day, the tunnels underneath Gaza, they're for our soldiers. Protecting our civilians, like with bomb shelters, that's for the foreign community. That's for the UN. That's what we do. But if Wong's first handout to UNWRA was willful blindness, what on earth can you call her response since October 7, when so many more allegations, so much more evidence has come to light? See, there have been now even more allegations in this war, Hamas versus democratic Israel, even more allegations in this war of Hamas looting UNWRA aid. In fact, I mean, Hamas runs a police state in Gaza, right? It shoots and jails people who oppose it. So let's not kid ourselves. It's like sending aid to an aid organisation, really, in Nazi Germany. But there was one woman in Gaza who had the guts to say exactly that. Hamas is looting UNWRA aid, knowing that Hamas terrorists there could punish her. And she got it said, even though, as you can see, the reporter was scared to hear it.
أنا بحكي ما بخافش منهم. أنا بحكي إلهم كمان. أنا كل الدعم بيجي لقطاع غزة.
بس حج كتير بيوصل اللي بيوصل إشي قليل وبيتوزع هيك بيحكوا.
كله للبيوت إلهم. خليهم ياخذون ولا يطخون ولا يعملوا اللي بدهم إياه حماس.
حج إحنا الآن يبدو إن الأمور شوي.
Even UNWRA itself admitted that Hamas was stealing its aid during this war, aid meant for civilians, but then denied it quickly and deleted its allegation on Twitter. Yet just 2 weeks ago, Wong still promised, this organisation, UNWRA, still promised that yet another $6 million of taxpayer money. But, you know, I guess we've got to be fair. You know, we're even-handed here. This time, on her visit to the West Bank, she did ask the famously corrupt Palestinian Authority that runs the West Bank, Palestinians there, that, look, could it please, you know, pretty please make sure that these funds would be used appropriately, you know, not on hate? I mean, what a joke. Even if these kleptocrats in the Palestinian Authority could be trusted, right, what's the point of asking them, please don't misuse our money in Gaza, for instance? Because it doesn't control what happens over in Gaza. Hamas controls Gaza. And it can't, the Palestinian Authority can't say anything to Hamas. Hamas shoots its people, right? And the thing is, you can actually see Hamas stealing the aid in Gaza in front of the cameras. So no, Penny Wong, oh, so shocked, shocked face, very disturbed, temporary pause on this aid. Who would have thought? No, Penny Wong, like so many Western politicians, recklessly lavished taxpayer money on a fundamentally anti-Israel UN organisation that has hired terrorists and their supporters. And her temporary pause of our aid comes too late. Because you've got to ask how much of Wong's millions was already in the hands of terrorists and the people who trained them.